what's up with y'all family? I want to get on a good ass download, and I want to talk about, Jesus. I want to talk about his story because a lot of people, y'all, they are stuck on that, you know, if you want to say what they call like, or the Bible or whatever the fuck you might worship, y'all. But the story of Jesus, y'all, is important. So, I want to talk about it, y'all, and maybe, hopefully, y'all can see this in a different perspective, y'all, as I give y'all this cosmic download, family. So, first thing I want to say is salute and peace to all the chosen ones, whether you like this video or not. As long as you are watching this, you will learn something today if you haven't already. So, the story of Jesus, y'all, they tell us that Jesus, it was somebody who came down here, y'all, and he tried to live in peace and harmony, right, y'all? He was somebody who walked with light, so he had that light with him, family? That's important because, once you look at it like that, y'all, you realize how good and down to earth Jesus was, y'all. I'm talking about the story of Jesus, One thing I recommend y'all to go watch, y'all, is The Chosen. It's a series, but it talks about the events of how Jesus lived, y'all. Forget how he looked and whatever they're showing you. What I want y'all to pay attention to is how he moved, what his intentions were, and what he chose to do as he came down here, y'all. Because everybody has the power to become good or bad. Think about it, y'all. The Most High, they put us down here to either choose to follow the path of peace and purity, or to stay in hell and love negativity, y'all. You can't choose both, because either you're gonna rise up or you're gonna stay down. But Jesus, family, I really like his story, y'all, and I like the teachings, because once you really get to know him, y'all, he was somebody that just wanted to help everybody shine, y'all. Jesus had light, y'all, and he had that knowledge. That was his most important weapon, or if you want to say everything that people knew him by. They followed him because of his teachings, y'all. He was trying to tell you that you must be light, you must walk with faith. But a lot of people, they overlooked it, or they really didn't get it, y'all. But nowadays, y'all, when y'all read the word and shit, y'all, everything that's in the book, or what you call, you think it's to be, but it's all about how you choose to live your life, y'all. There's a lot of motherfuckers who go to church, y'all, and believe it or not, they still drink, smoking, they still destroy themselves, y'all, by destroying everybody else. There's a lot of people, y'all, who might practice this teaching, but you will go, try to go feed off the next person, or try to harvest their negativity. To really be a follower of God, I'm not gonna say a follower, but be a leader like God, y'all. Jesus, whether you believe he was real or not, y'all, if you want to say logically, he's not here. So you gotta do what he can't do anymore. You gotta be the one walking with that light. You gotta be the one to remind these people that this is the way, y'all. Why you think they envy the ones with the light, y'all? Because they don't have it. They want it. And they're so fucking greedy and negative that they would rather try to steal it from you instead of working on their own self, y'all, because they don't have what it takes, y'all. They're ignorant, lesser beings, y'all. They follow a deity instead of trying to become a high caliber of light, y'all. With Jesus, family, he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, if you want to say that, y'all. There's people who look at fasting like it's evil. You know why? Because they can't go a fucking day without eating flesh, y'all. Jesus never really, wanted you to eat flesh, y'all. He talked about fish and all that other shit, but to become someone who lives at his highest and lives in a spiritual form, you gotta really fast, y'all, or eat lesser foods that are not so much dense, y'all, because you're eating shit that's killing you. When you eat all this dead shit, y'all, you're consuming something that was once living. So that's why you feel like you sleepy as shit, or you feel dead yourself, because you don't got no control over what the fuck you're consuming, y'all. You want to eat healthy. God talked about eating from the tree. I'm not gonna pinpoint what it was, but there was a tree of the knowledge of good and evil, y'all, and there was another tree, y'all. But he did talk about eating from the right one. The trees here are talking about is, there's two trees in this world. There's a tree full of fruits, full of vegetables, and full of things that you should be eating. it's not essential because you don't really need it, but there are things that you would like to partake in if you wanted a source of energy, y'all. Because organically, y'all, we didn't need food, y'all. That's how advanced we are. You know, it doesn't matter how advanced technology gets, we will always be more advanced than anything that has ever fucking, you know, if you want to say invented, y'all, because we're the first magical, you know, inventors that came to this land, y'all. And there's nothing above or over us, family. That's why I remind you that in order for you to find and see your true power, y'all, you must be someone who's living at their spirit, you know. A lot of people are gonna go against this, but I want to remind you that you are not a fleshly being. So no matter how much you think you're the body, y'all, you are a spirit housing up that body. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly why we're spiritual beings having a human experience, y'all. I'm pretty sure everybody believes that. Then why the fuck are you not trying to take care of your spirit? You know what I'm saying, y'all? That's what you gotta work on. That's the end goal, y'all. It's hard as hell to get there. But over time, y'all, you will enjoy that because of the way you are feeling. The more confidence you have, and the less the fear dissolves, y'all. Once you have no fear, y'all, you can do anything at command, y'all. But you must surrender to your ego, right? Because you don't really know who you are until you know that the ego is controlling you. Once you know that and you surrender, that's when you detach from it. And you rise to your highest self, which is your spirit, which is the plasma realms, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You're full of plasma, y'all. That's why they want your plasma. That's why they will do anything to buy it. But I'm not trying to get off topic, y'all. With Jesus, y'all, just know that he was a being that was lifeful, that was here to help the world by doing all these magical things. That's even possible because he was literally, y'all, a light in this world, y'all. Yes, Jesus was a fleshly being like us, y'all. But over time, he worked on himself and he built his spirit. And the more he did that, it showed outside of his reality. Because the more light he became and the more he took care of the energy within, it showed itself from the outside. Because what you do internally shows externally, family. If you don't get this, this knowledge is certainly too high for you to obtain because you can't hold in a lot of the data, especially if it's advanced information, y'all. So you must attune yourself to the right hertz. But I'm not gonna make this video too long. I just want y'all to realize that if you really love Jesus, y'all, or you once loved him in the past when you were brainwashed and now you look at life differently, just know that when he was down here, y'all, everything he did, y'all, was for peace, was for light, and was for helping others find their truest potential and becoming better every day. Now you must ask yourself, y'all, if you truly believe that was the case, y'all, why do you think the Romans killed him? Or in that way they tell y'all, you know, they say that the church killed God, or Jesus, you want to say that. They were against his teachings because they were afraid of it. It could change the world. But these motherfuckers, they want to control because that's what they believe power is, y'all. Power is not in numbers and it's not in what you have to scare anybody. Power is knowing that no one can fuck with you, y'all, because they're not worth your time. You're on a better, you know, if you want to say standpoint, because you realize living in hell and living around others who are fucking brain dead, yo, ain't gonna help you. You should be seeking the betterance of yourself, yo. We came down here to evolve. If you're around people who are lost, worrying about anger and control, yo, you'll never gain true power because you can rise so high to the point where you become like Eisen, where you push everybody away from you, not because they're afraid of you, but because that energy that you have, yo, is too much. It's too hot that they can't breathe around you. That's exactly why the fuck you are killing them, yo, because you are shining so bright and so lightful that the enemy can't take your field of supreme consciousness. That aura you have is your protection, y'all. Now that we are all waking up and realizing that we have an aura, that's your biggest protection, y'all. You might rely on kinetic energy or a form of a gun because it's a weapon that shoots off kinetic energy. It's something that shoots at high speeds of velocity, y'all, that burns you when it hits this target. But we are true heat, y'all. We are hotter than the sun. That's why we can bring it out. That's exactly why as we shift and as we get more and more to a lighter consciousness, because the more lighter you become, y'all, the less dense you are. So the more you really won't be onto this realm You know, you feel heavy when you consume flesh because you're more dense, y'all. You know, the lesser you become, the stronger that light shines. It's gonna get to a point, family, where when they do try to shoot you or they come at you with anything, you are literally gonna be, if you want to say a saying, you are Goku, yo. These motherfuckers are gonna shoot you, and what he say? Ow, that hurts. But it didn't do a damn thing to him, right? Exactly. Because, y'all, that's who you truly are at your highest form. We are getting there. We're not there now, y'all. But they still can't fuck with you if you have an aura. That's exactly why these demons can't get in without an invitation. They need some kind of form of your negativity to feel like they can exist, because then your defense is lower. So that's where I remind y'all, the power relies in yourself, y'all. Remember, God said the kingdom of God is within you. It's within all of us, family. So that's where you should truly be looking. You know, don't ask nobody for no fucking advice if you are truly lost, because they're gonna give you what they know by someone else that taught them. You're still learning from somebody else, y'all. To know what the fuck is truly going on, y'all, is to go right here, y'all, because God's gonna show you what awareness really is and how to move. You know, once you develop self-love, y'all, you don't really care about anybody else. You will give them harmony and peace, but you're not gonna want to go around nobody or nothing because you're satisfied with your presence. And nowadays in this world, yo, everybody's vibrating like a fucking zombie because they consume flesh, yo. They consume things that's killing them. But even though their spirit is telling them, don't eat this shit because it's killing you, yo, their ego in them, it's in control. So the ego's gonna do what the fuck it wants to. You know what I'm saying, yo? That's like them having no control over Kurama's power, because in the beginning, Naruto couldn't control anything. That's why I remind y'all, family, it is important to have discipline, yo. Remember, you become a chicken with your head cut off, yo, if you are not aware of your surroundings and yourself. That's why they killed Jesus, y'all, because he was waking people up and making them realize that you have a higher self within you that you must tap into to find everlasting peace and light. So their auras can rise and they will repel anything that's fucking negative. The Romans didn't want that, y'all. They were against him because he was changing the world with his own prescience or his pressure. Think about that, family. That's fucking deep, y'all. That's how powerful you are and how deep this shit runs, y'all. Think about it, y'all. Everybody goes to church not knowing that the Romans, their church, is exactly what killed Jesus in the first place, y'all. So it's not that he's a bad person, y'all. He was someone that was full of light, that was trying to help us. That's why his words are important, y'all. And it is important to go read the word, because there's a lot of truth in that shit. So I'm never going to knock anybody who's a follower of Jesus. But I remind y'all that Jesus also told you to seek God, and the kingdom of God is within us all. He also said ye are gods, because a speck of what was in him is within all of us. Your spirit believes it, but your ego don't, because your ego, he wants to feel like he's superior, y'all. He wants to run you. Because once the spirit takes over, y'all, that's when true power forms. You know what I'm saying? But before I get out this video, if you are a true follower of God or of Christ or of Jesus, man, do what he can't do anymore, y'all. Because they say he died, right? He died for our sins. So why are you going to sin when he wasn't sinning? Yes, we all fuck up, but at the same time, y'all, you can always live presently and know what's right and what's wrong, so you could do the right thing eventually, y'all. You might sin a couple times, but it's about discipline and it's about rising. It's about rising that light up, y'all. So that's where you got to start. Build that light up, family. And the ones who can't take it, y'all, don't worry about them. They're against you, just like they were against God, because that's how you become a life of being. That's how you start treating everybody in that love and harmony, you know? And that's how you see your true potential, family, you know? But I'm gonna see y'all. This was a good ass download, y'all. Watch it over if you can. But just know that Jesus wanted to help all of us. He wanted everybody to become lifeful beings, y'all. He wanted you to live with awareness, because he wasn't killing himself, y'all. He wasn't putting shit in his body that was gonna harm him, you know? That's exactly what he wants you to do as well, y'all. Live like him, live to help everybody. Live to help this world evolve, You know, just by one of us doing that, yo, it's affecting the world around you because you're bringing out your external, you're bringing out your internal reality so it can show externally, yo. That's exactly why these killers, crooked officers or thieves, or anybody who's, full of pain, full of depression, and full of evilness, yo, they can't take it in your presence, yo, because you're killing them, yo. You're bringing judgment on their asses without saying a word because your energy is too pure for them to be around you. And as Egyptians, we knew this. Why you think the ones who were colorful, yo, and the ones who stayed this kind of complexion, they could never get around us because everybody looked at us or the colorful beings like highly pedestaled. That's exactly how it started, yo. The more light you are, the more your presence is valued as royalty. But I'll see you on the next video, family. I'll say.